It's time for the latest in the world of K-sports, from the MLB to the LPGA to figure skating and football. For all of that, we're joined by our sportscaster, Jason Lee, in the studio. Hello, Jason.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Now, let's start with the MLB. Although it's not actually K-sports, but we have Korean sports big names in the MLB. Absolutely. So spring training has already begun for the Major League Baseball, and I heard that San Francisco's Jung Hoo has already hit a home run. Tell us about it.
That's right. He's got a pair of hits in spring training so far, but one of them is indeed a home run. He's 2 for 9 so far. And I think already hitting a home run for Jung Hoo is very significant because there's a lot of talk that the Giants are thinking about having him hit number 3 in the order. Last year, before he got injured, he was pretty much their leadoff hitter. And he could probably hit either first, second, or third in the order, but typically a 3-batter has a little bit more power, and you hit more home runs. Jung Hoo, I think, maxed out at 23 home runs when he was in the KBO, so he's not really like a big-time home run hitter, although he is capable of doing so. So the fact that he's already got a home run under his belt in spring training shows that he's got the potential for power, and I think it does give them the option of moving him to number 3 in the order. I think typically he would be best suited for number 2, but the problem is San Francisco really doesn't have a true 3-batter that's capable of hitting around 290, 300 with about 25 to 30 home runs. Jung Hoo might be the closest thing to that, so I think that's why they're considering having him hit 3rd in the order. But again, as you mentioned, the fact that he already has a home run under his belt, I think it bodes well for that.
Wow, very good to see him, recover well from his injuries last year.
That's right.
Because some of the fans were very worried about, how he will, come back to the stage, come back to the mound and do the batting. But seeing home run, definitely exciting for fans as well. But on the flip side, it hasn't been very good for Kim Hye Seong at the LA Dodgers with the spring training. How is it going for him? What would you say is like the best or worst scenario that could happen for him?
Yeah, Kim Hye Seong has certainly been struggling quite a bit. He has just 1 hit in 12 at-bats so far in spring training with the Dodgers, and his poor hitting so far has also been exasperated by a pair of errors as well. And I think that's the big problem because he's known for his defense. So the fact that he's gone and struggled defensively somewhat, as well as getting just 1 hit in 12 at-bats, I think fans, first and foremost, are a little bit concerned right now. I think the team, teammates, coaches, managers, the people that really know baseball, they're going to be able to look at this and say, look, it's a small sample size. He's still trying to get accustomed to the speed of major league pitches. And I think eventually he'll be able to get there. It's just a matter of a little bit of time. So I'm not overly concerned. Having said that, Bella, you did mention what is the best case and worst case scenario. Right. I think the worst case scenario is indeed a possibility that he could start the season in the minor leagues. And it's not really a bad thing. I mean, obviously, it's not a positive thing, but I think the possibility of that is true just so that he can get up to speed with major league pitches. It's no secret that, they throw about 95 to sometimes up to 100 when it comes to major league fastballs. And even in AAA, you're going to see pitches closer to 95, 96, whereas in the KBO pitches that Kim Hye Seong was accustomed to seeing, probably closer to 90 miles per hour. So there is a significant speed difference. He hasn't adapted to that just well as of yet. But once again, this is a very small sample size. We're talking about 12 at-bats. The question would be, what would happen if this persists? So if we continue along this road for the next 5 or 6 games, if he gets to 25 at-bats and all of a sudden he still only has 2 or 3 hits, then what? And I think at that point, it might be a wise decision to send him down to AAA to get accustomed to the speed of the ball first before sending him up, as well as maybe just defensively as well. You might have some nerves with them because sometimes if you're not hitting well, then your mind isn't in the right place and you might not be fielding well as well. So hopefully he'll get on track. I think the best case scenario would be to have a couple of multi-hit games in a row, get the media off your back, get the fans off your back, and before you know it, maybe he'll be ready to go and join the team in Japan for the season opening series against the Cubs. But for the time being, yes, Kim Hye Seong is struggling a bit, both offensively and defensively. hopefully he gets out of this quickly, and this will just be a thing of the past.
Right. There are so many fans that have big expectations after he joined the LA Dodgers. So there might be a little bit of pressure. So let's do hope that it's just a matter of time and that he will, move on.
Absolutely. Myself included, by the way.
Oh, yourself.
Yeah, I'm hoping for him too.
So do we. And we're also probably going to talk about the KBO in the near future. But now let's move over from baseball to figure skating. Last time we spoke, you did mention that Mukdong Ice Rink, which is here in Seoul, of course, would be hosting the Four Continents Figure Skating Championships, which has now ended. So how did that go? Can you give us the highlights?
Yeah, absolutely. This year's Four Continents Figure Skating Championship was all about Kim Hye Seong. I mean, fresh off of her gold medal at the Asian Winter Games, where she upset three-time world champion Kaori Sakamoto, Kim again set personal bests in both the short program as well as the free skate to capture her second straight gold medal. She totaled 222.38 points. Once again, a personal best, so a huge tournament for her. Yakamoto did not compete in this particular event, so she didn't have the chance to beat her for a second time, but certainly a big performance for the Asian Winter Games champion. She's now going to prepare for the World Championship, which will be next month in Boston. So congratulations, certainly, to Kim Hye Seong. Meanwhile, Cha Jun-hwan, he had to settle for second place at the event after mistakes in both of his short program and the free skate. He attributed some fault to some fatigue and minor injuries. During his free skate, he pulled out of a quad, which turned into a double instead. That actually dropped 10 points off of his total in the performance. So Cha Jun-hwan will also now be going to Boston next month, where he's actually been mentioned that he's going to consider adding a third quad jump to his program. And the reason for that, obviously, he wants to perform well at the World Championship. He's won a World Championship a few years back. But if he can win this championship, this would allow Korea to send an extra male skater to the Olympics next year. Now, Korea's already got a little more depth when it comes to female figure skaters, but in terms of male figure skaters, it's pretty much Cha Jun-hwan and no one else, all due respect. But because of that, if he can place, well at this World Championships, then it would allow Korea to send one more person. And although, that next person up probably wouldn't be a medal hopeful, it would be valid experience to be able to compete at the Olympic level. So, I think a lot on the shoulders of Cha Jun-hwan, and I think he's making that into consideration.
Well, best of luck to both Kim Hye Seong and Cha Jun-hwan in Boston. And really, Kim Hye Seong, she is the rising star, and she is now, we could say, officially the best female figure skater in Korea now.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. At just 18 years of age, by the way. So we're talking about someone who's getting much more confident, that's making a name for herself in front of the judges that are now going to expect her to medal on the podium rather than just kind of be surprised by it. So I think 2025, I think, bodes very well for Kim Hye Seong.
Wow, and also figure skating fans in Korea were, waiting for that second legendary Kim Yeona, right? But I mean, she's doing very well, Kim Hye Seong, so that's definitely a name that we should all look out for. And now from figure skating, we're going to move on to soccer, European soccer. What would you say is the latest on our Sonny, Son Heung-min, and also Yang Min-hyuk as well? How are they doing?
Both are doing well. Son Heung-min had a pair of assists this past week as Tottenham beat Ipswich 4-1. Tottenham, although they fell to Man City 1-0 yesterday, certainly a good showing by Son Heung-min to contribute on the score sheet a couple of times and in a convincing victory as well. He didn't play full time in the game, but his team had a fair lead by then. So I think showing once again that the captain is in good form. Meanwhile, you talked about Yang Min-hyuk as well. Of course, he's also property of Tottenham as well. However, he's been loaned to the Queen's Park Rangers. And after being loaned, he got in as a sub for a few games. But lately, he has been actually starting for the Queen's Park Rangers. He hasn't scored a goal for them as of yet, but he did have a nice assist in his first game that he started for them. I've been watching a lot of his highlights as he's been playing. And I've got to say, when you watch him play, he's very explosive. He's been manning the right wing for them, and as I've said, as of late, he's been starting each of the games. And there's a difference between a player who's fast and a player who's explosive. Speed is kind of more drawn out over a long period of time. Maybe like over a 20-yard, 30-yard sprint, you could be fast. But quickness and explosiveness is kind of more that first step. And when you watch him play, his ability to just make that first step to beat his man, to get around him, things like that, he's really got an explosive step. And I really look forward to watching him the rest of this season, and then hopefully by the summer, rejoining Tottenham to hopefully play with Sonny.
Yes, I know.
Let's hope for some explosive results.
Yeah.
Some of the fans were definitely, waiting for him to, play well because, he was loaned to the,
Queen's Park Rangers.
Yeah, Queen's Park
Yeah.
Rangers. And, but we can see him doing definitely very well during the time,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Developing.
I think just watching some of the plays that he's been able to make, especially the goal that he assisted on, he made a really explosive play, completely fooled the defender that was supposed to be marking him, and then made a beautiful pass that allowed for the goal to score. So he really did everything to create that goal that was scored by his team. So little things like that, the plays that I've seen on the isolations where the camera's just on him to kind of feature how he's playing, I'm actually very impressed because I've seen him do it at the K-League 1 level, and it's different when you're doing that against different competition. Certainly different type of people, right? Like Koreans are typically smaller and quick, so to see how he's going to be doing it against more European type bodies and competition, players that haven't seen him play yet, it's been great to see him compete at a high level against different competition.
Definitely. Now, let's wrap up with golf now. Korea started off the LPGA calendar with some success. We talked about Kim Hye Seong's opening win, but how are things going right now?
Well, certainly, Kim Hye Seong, as you mentioned, has been the hottest Korean on the LPGA Tour so far. She won the season opening Tournament of Champions. And then this week, right now, competing in Singapore at the HSBC Championship, she has the second round lead. The latest is that she is now 7 under through 12 holes today. So the second round is still going on right now as we speak. She has a 2-stroke lead, and among the people that are 2 behind at 5 under, another Korean is there, Kim Hye Seong. She's at 5 under through 17 holes today, so she's got 1 more hole to play. We'll see how she does, and we'll see if Kim Hye Seong can make up even some more ground on her lead through the last 4 or 5 holes that she has left in today. But I think we see this quite often, okay? Kim Hye Seong already has a victory this season. She had a victory last year as well. But looking at how she's already come onto the scene this year, there's so often that you see one golfer that just kind of dominates from the start of the season to the finish. Looking at how she's competing this year already, I think we should all be looking at Kim Hye Seong to see if she might be that one this year. She already has the money lead on the tour. She's finished 6th place the week before, and I think she's got a good shot to do big things this year.
So just very briefly, so why is it that we usually see one player dominate the whole season?
I think so much with women's golf is confidence-based. And when you're winning, when you're on a hot streak, you win the week before, you win a couple of championships on the tour, then I think it can really snowball in terms of your confidence, in terms of your repetition. And we've seen this so much, where a lot of Koreans have certainly done this, as well as foreigners as well. But yeah, it really does seem to happen more often than not, especially on the LPGA Tour than the male tour.
Interesting. So on that note, with confidence, we're going to wrap up today's K-Sports segment, and looking forward to next time, Jason.
Look forward to it.
And thank you, Bella, as always. Have a great weekend. We'll
Yes.
see you back next week.
Yes, I'll see you back next week.